All right, here we are for training 4. We want to be able to kind of further our STATA skills, and we're going to focus on combining data sets using append and merge, and then look to see how loops might be used. Now we're going to look at the application of loops when it comes to combining data sets, but I want to be very clear that loops have a much more broad, expansive application that can be incredibly helpful, especially when you have repetitive code or repetitive tasks to do within your code. So here is the different data that we're going to use. So we have Dallas 2014, 15, 16. So this comes from data that can be found on a controller's office that shows tax revenue by city, by month, and over time. And so this comes from Texas. And the question we really want to ask is, does precipitation, or when it rains, does that have an impact on sales tax revenue, on consumer spending? And so that's going to be what we're going to try to estimate. And so here, these 3 files, if I were to open up this file, you're going to see it has just dates, and then the city, and then here's the sales tax. That's how much sales tax revenue was raised in the city of Dallas in January of 2014. So that's what that data looks like. When I come over here now to the next data set, when I look at the rain data set, this is now precipitation. So here is a different data set we want to be able to look at. And here we have, again, month and year, the city, and the precipitation. And so when we talk about combining data sets, there's different ways we want to be able to combine data sets. One way we want to be able to combine data sets is to stack them on top of each other. So here we have Dallas 2015. Notice that with this data set, we want to be able to take these observations and add them here. Now we can do that copy paste in Excel. We want to do it a little more sophisticated with Stata. So when we talk about append is just going to take existing data sets and it's going to stack them on top of each other. So this is going to take the same number of variables but create more observations. The next thing we're going to do is merge, and when we merge, we're going to take the same number of observations and add more variables. So combine year and month to create another column here of precipitation data. So let's get to it. All right, so let's close these out. And let's open up our do file to see how we do it. So here we go. First thing I'm going to do is change the directory. The directory for the data is all located right here in this folder. Your folder might be a little different. Right? And so the first thing I want to be able to do is the first step is we want to be able to append data. So we want to bring in Dallas 2014, 15, 16 as Excel files, save them as Stata files, and then add them together. Okay, so we want to append first. Okay, so first let's import Dallas 2016 data. Okay, we'll start there. So this is import Excel using Dallas 2016.xlsx. Now I don't need the quotation marks, I just have them there for this time. First row is treats as variable and then clear. Okay, once we have that, let's now save it as Dallas 2016. That's saving it and replace it as a Stata data set. Okay, now let's import Dallas 2016. Again, these are sales tax revenues. And I can come over here, I can just copy this, paste it right here, and now, or rather not 16, but 15, and then I can save that as 15. And let's do it one last time. Except now this is going to be 14, and there. So here we have, in a sense, copy and pasting 3 of the exact same code to be able to bring in these data sets accordingly. So now that we have these data sets, they're all saved. Okay, so now that they are Stata formatted, let's append. So the one that I'm starting with, notice that Dallas 2014 is already loaded. So I can use that, but just to be clear, let's go ahead and say use Dallas 2014. Okay, that's the one that I'm using. Is I can do append using, so I'd say what data set do you want me to use? Dallas 2015. Right? And I can do that just for that one data set. So let's run this and see what happens. Here we go. Oh, it looks like I don't have the right data set. Let's make sure I have it oh, I have a space here and not an underscore, so I do need those quotation marks. That is, again, I encourage you guys not to be like me. Do not put spaces into your data sets. That's why we have quotation marks. And notice when we save it, we're not going to have quotation marks because we're going to have no spaces. Now we load it up, and now when I click on Browse, what you'll see is here's the 2014 data, and then stacked right below that is the 2015 data. Now I want to do one more stack so we can append. Now I might be able to append with the second command, but I can just do append using Dallas 2016. So I can just append those two just like that. And now I want to save final data set. I'm going to call it 2014_2016 to let me know that's what it is. And if that file already exists, let's replace it. Okay, so I've now gone through that. If I look back at my folder, now in my folder I have a bunch of these data sets right here. And so that is all the new data sets I created. We still have all of our Excels over here. So now I've appended these data sets. So now I have a final data set that has all those years. And so that's how append uses. Append, again, it's not creating more variables, it's creating more observations. So now let's go to our next thing that we want to be able to do, and that is merge. Okay, so we're going to merge different data sets. So here we're going to try to now estimate our model that we want to be able to do. We want to estimate the model looking at the outcome variable of tax revenue and the independent variable of precipitation. Okay, so now we're going to bring in the Dallas data. So let's go first, bring in precipitation data. So I'm going to import Excel using, and that is Dallas rain. Oh, I'm sorry, this is again one of those ones. First row, clear. We want to then save Dallas rain as a data set and go from there. So let's run this, run it through. Dallas rain XLS is not found, so let's see, what did I call it? Dallas_rain. Again, this is really bad notation. Don't follow what I do. And so this is here. Okay. Now we have it. So now we have Dallas rain. If I look at Dallas rain, notice I have month and year and then precipitation. So I want to be able to merge these together. So let's just first start by merging. Let's go here. Let's merge in just with 2014. Okay, so let's go start with Dallas 2014 sales tax data. Okay, so I'm going to use Dallas 2014. Okay, now when I use this, this is my loaded data set. So we're going to call this the master data set. Okay, and then we're going to merge this. So I merge is the command, and we're going to merge one-to-one. What one-to-one means is that there's a single observation in the Dallas 2014 that is also the same type of observation in the using data set, which in this case is going to be Dallas rain. So I want to merge this on year and month. So for each year, find a specific month and match that to using Dallas rain. Okay, so that is what we're going to do. There's other merges. There's n-to-1, 1-to-n. Be understanding of what your data is and how do you do those merges. Right here, we're doing just a 1-to-1 merge. Now, every time you merge, it's going to create a variable called _merge. And by doing tab _merge, it's going to show you the different values that this takes to see how your merge worked. So let's run this. All right, so here we have the results of our merge. There was 24 that were not matched. Those were from our using data. Our master had 0. 12 that were matched 1-to-1. So _merge takes on the values of 1, 2, and 3. Notice that these 24 were in the using data, but not the master. So if we go back to the using data is Dallas rain, which has 3 years of data, 14, 15, 16. But our master data only has 1 year. So that's why we get a 1-to-1 match for 12 observations for the 12 months in 2014. And then those 12 months each for 15 and 16 don't match at all. So that is a good test to show that our merge worked how we wanted. So that was very good. Now let's go to our big thing. Let's merge all the data. All right, so let's merge all the data. So now instead of using Dallas 2014, we're going to use Dallas 2014 underscore 2016. And I can literally just come up here and copy and paste this because I'm using the same data sets. So now Dallas rain, my using data set has 3 years worth of data. My master data set has 3 years worth of data. So I should get 36 observations that match exactly. So I run this and that's exactly what I get. So now I've merged these data sets. I am ready to operate and ready to use. So now I can save my combined data set. And let's call this save. Well, let's see, what should we call this? This is where sometimes naming conventions. Let's go combined Dallas rain 2014, 2016. All right, and now we have appended and merged our data. We've achieved objective number 1. Now, one thing as we go to objective number 2 is using loops. One thing to notice here is notice that this right here, these 3 commands are all really similar. The only thing that differs is the dates. A loop allows us to do different commands where it just loops over numbers and over words. So here we go. Let's now do loops. And these are going to be, again, incredibly helpful. All right. So the first thing we want to be able to do is let's see if we can loop on numbers. So just like we did this right here, let's see if we can do this whole command using just numbers. Okay, so we're going to come and do a loop. So we're going to do a loop on numbers. Okay, so we're going to start for our loop with for values. We say for the values, and here I'm going to choose I. You can choose other letters. I just do I's for numbers. Let's say we're going to start at 2014 and we're going to go to 2016, and the default is to count by 1. So let's start that loop. Okay, notice it's going to close that loop for us. So I'm going to come here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to import Excel using Dallas. Now, normally I would do the 2014, but instead of 2014, here's where I'm going to do my I. The top left of your keyboard is the backwards apostrophe. I'm going to click on that, click letter I, click the regular apostrophe, and that is there, .xlsx. So again, it looks the same as we did up here, except we're going to have, instead of the number, we're going to put the letter I. Okay, first clear, and then we're going to save that as Dallas and the year. And then we close the loop. So it looks just like we did right here, but rather than the number 2014, we're going to put I. And that should then create those 3 data sets. So let's find out. Let's delete all these DTA files. So we only have our Excel files, and let's see if this loop is going to create those for us. We come through here, and it created those files for us right here. And so we've done that loop successfully. So that is one way to do a loop on numbers. Now we can also do a loop on words. Notice that within our data, we also have data not just for Dallas, but we have data for Arlington, Allen, and Irving. So we want to be able to do a loop based on those. Okay, and so that's what we want to be able to accomplish with this. And we also, let's go ahead and just add another here for Dallas XLSX. Okay. So when I do these loops, so let's go ahead and open up these. Each of these has a similar format. So in this spreadsheet, it has for Allen, and it has different worksheets for these different years. So let's first do a loop just based for 2014 based on these. So let's do a loop on words. So for this one, we're going to do it slightly different. We'll say for, let's make sure we're over here. Okay, so we're going to say for each X, now when I do each or words, I'm using X. That's what I like. And then I write the words Allen, Arlington, Dallas, Irving. Start the loop. So for each of those words, I want to say import Excel using, and I do that backwards apostrophe, the letter X, the forward apostrophe, .xlsx, comma, first row is treat. Let's do sheet 2014. Clear. And then we can save this as the city. And let's call this loop 2014. So we've now created a STATA data set for 2014 for each of these 4 cities. So let's run this. Loop on words. Gotta make sure there's a space between save. There we go. Uh-oh, now we have another. So it's in here, so let's just make sure I have these right. Backwards, forward, backwards, forward. Oh, there's an apostrophe right there. That's what's catching me. Okay, now we're good to go. And now we've created those loops. And now if I look at my data set, there's now these files created. Arlington loop, Allen loop, all those loops are created. So now I've done a loop on words. Okay. So again, for numbers, we do for values. For words, we do for each. Well, now I notice if I wanted to get all these data sets, I could copy and paste this for 14, 15, 16. But instead, let's do a loop on numbers and words. So we're doing a loop within a loop. Very inceptionist of us. So I'm going to start with this right here. I'm just going to copy this. I'm going to paste. So this is my loop for words. Within that, I'm now going to create this loop for values I equals 2014 to 2016. Start a loop. Now make sure we end that second loop over here. Okay, so now wherever I see 2014, I'm going to put the I. Wherever I see that 2014, I'm going to put the I. And so now it's going to run Allen first. It's going to get into this loop, then it's going to do Allen 2014, 2015, 2016, then come back, do Arlington 2014, 2015, 2016, so on and so forth. Okay, so we run these. Oh, we didn't do. So it's right here, this sheet 2014. Let's just make sure we have that correct. There's 2014, 15, 16, so we should get that. Let's make sure we have it. Oh, there's 2 apostrophes there. That happens. Okay, now we run it. Again, you'll find errors in the loop, but there our loop worked completely. It runs all the way through. Now we have all these. If we come looking here, we have all these data sets. Now we just need to append them all together. So here's where I would just say append data sets to create master. So I'm going to use Allen underscore loop 2014 as my first. Let's clear that out. And then I'm going to append using, and now I can just put in Allen loop 2015, 2016, and then we'll just do all the other ones accordingly. And I'll just copy and paste these from somewhere over here. So now we have all of these where we're going through all the different ones. We have a master data set. super awesome, save as loop master clear. And now we run this whole data set. Oh, I didn't spell Arlington correct. There's a G in that word. That happens. One more time, we go through, save, that should be replaced, not clear. One more time, for reals this time. And now it goes through, we open this up, and now we have a master data set of multiple cities, multiple years, and that is how we can use loops. Now, loops can be challenging, I fully agree, but they can be incredibly time-saving. So do spend that practice to work on your loops. This is just an example of using loops to load data. Loops can be also used in cleaning data and in many other ways. And so there you have training 4.